Once upon a time, in a cozy cottage at the edge of a shimmering lake, lived a little girl. Everyone in town knew her as Little Red Riding Hood because she always wore a red hooded cloak that reached all the way to her ankles. One morning, Red Riding Hood's mother woke up early. She had baked a delicious pie and wanted to take it to her friend's house. But the problem was, she was too busy to take the pie to her friend herself, so she called out to her daughter, "Red Riding Hood, my dear, would you mind taking this pie to your grandmother's house? She isn't feeling well, and I want to cheer her up." Red Riding Hood was just finishing her drawing, but as soon as she heard her mother's request, she put down her crayons and said, "Of course, Mamma. Anything for you." Red Riding Hood took the pie, and off she went into the woods behind their house. She hummed a happy tune as she walked through the tall trees. The forest floor was covered with soft moss and little pebbles, and Red Riding Hood skipped along the path, enjoying the beautiful day. As she walked, she saw a deer with a coat as white as snow. It stared at her for a moment with its big brown eyes, and then it bounded away. Soon, Red Riding Hood came across a small stream. The water sparkled in the sunlight, and she could hear the sound of tiny fish jumping over the rocks. As she walked on, the trees grew thicker and the sunlight began to fade. But Red Riding Hood wasn't worried. She knew the way to her grandmother's house like the back of her hand. After a while, she began to feel a little tired, so she sat down on a nearby log to rest. That's when she noticed a little kitten stuck up in a tree. "Oh, you poor thing," she said. "Let me help you," she said. And with that, Red Riding Hood climbed up the tree and carried the frightened kitten back down to the ground. As a reward for her kindness, the kitten rubbed against her legs and purred loudly. Then it ran off into the bushes. Red Riding Hood continued on her way, and after a little more walking, she finally arrived at her grandmother's house. She knocked on the door and waited. Just then, a big bad wolf who had been following her came up behind her and knocked her down. The wolf opened the door and went inside. A few moments later, he came back outside with a basket in his paws. "You go to your grandmother's house," said the wolf, handing her the basket. "I have something for you." Confused but still polite, Red Riding Hood took the basket and knocked again. This time she heard a voice from inside saying, "Come in." When Red Riding Hood opened the door, she saw a big furry wolf sitting in a chair. "Why, hello, my dear," said the wolf, trying to hide a smile. "I was just about to have my afternoon nap, but you gave me such a fright. Come, sit by me." And before Red Riding Hood knew what was happening, the wolf had wrapped her in the tightest hug ever. But then she remembered the pie. She quickly pushed the wolf away and set the basket down. Hi, grandmother," she said, trying not to sound scared. "I brought you this pie. Mother says you weren't feeling well and she wanted me to bring you something nice." The wolf pretended to be surprised. "A pie, how wonderful, but I don't know about this, child. You see, I haven't eaten anything yet today. Why don't you stay here and eat the pie with me?" Red Riding Hood thought for a moment. On one hand, she really liked her grandmother, so she didn't want her to get upset. On the other hand, something about the wolf's tone of voice made her feel uneasy. Finally, she decided to play along. "Okay, grandmother, but could you please open the pie? My hands are a bit shaky." The wolf nodded and slowly began to open the pie. Just then, they both heard a loud crash in the forest. "Oh dear," said the wolf, pretending to be scared. "It must be a bear. Now, Red Riding Hood, my dear, I want you to do exactly what I tell you. When the bear comes in, run and hide under the bed." Red Riding Hood nodded and hid, while the wolf started to make lots of noise. He banged on the table and threw his paws in the air as if he were fighting someone. Suddenly the door burst open and a huge, angry bear came in. The wolf shouted, "Get away, you big brute! Leave me alone!" The bear charged towards the wolf, but he dodged the bear's paws and kept yelling. Finally, the frustrated bear gave up and ran off into the forest. The wolf fell down on the table, panting heavily. "Oh, thank goodness that's over," he said. "Now, Red Riding Hood, my dear, come out from under the bed. It's safe now." And that's when Red Riding Hood noticed something strange. Her grandmother's house looked very different. In fact, it looked exactly like the wolf's den. And there in the corner was the wolf's fur, which used to be her grandmother's shawl. Then it hit her. The wolf wasn't her grandmother at all. It was a tricksy wolf who had kidnapped her grandmother and was pretending to be her. And that's when the real grandmother came running in. "Oh, Red Riding Hood, I'm so glad you're okay," she said. "That silly wolf tried to trick us, but he didn't realize that you were too smart for him." Then they all lived happily ever after.